Now, one of the examples that I saw a number of students had incorrect is this one we're going to go over right now. And it involves something like this. Get my pen working. Here we go. So here we're saying, they're giving you a graph of water usage, that this ordered pair right here is 15, 4879. And they say the slope, they've already worked out the slope for you here, which is this. So we have the equation then, and we're using this form, y equals mx plus b. Now we have the slope. That's going to be 135. Now we have our x value, which is 15 here. We don't know what our b value is, but we know the y value is 4879. So I multiply this together, and I've done it already, so I could do it more quickly here. And this, when I solve, I multiply this, and then I subtracted it, this, from that, and I get 2854 is what b is. So now I have my equation, y equals my slope, which is 135. Now our new value, we want to know what it would cost for 19 of these. So I put 19 there. And then I put my b value in, which is my y-intercept, which is 2854. That would be right here. The graph is not proportionate. This is 2854. But now we're going up here to 19, which is going to be up there somewhere. So if I multiply 19 times my slope, I get a value. And then I add this to it. I get 5419. And that's what this point is here. This point right there is 19, and this is 5419. All right, I don't want to take too long on this, but normally this would take a long time. You'd have to use this formula. They're giving you the slope. They're giving you 1 point. And 15 is our x value. 4879 is our y value. We multiply this, subtract this from that, get this. That's our b value. We now write our equation in slope-intercept form. Then we're going to put in our new value of 19 here, which is what they're asking us here, when it's 19. Multiply that, add it to this, and we get 5419. All right, this is one that I noticed students had problems with here. And it is challenging. Another one that students had difficulty with, and there were a lot of formulas to remember, and that's why when we started Chapter 3, I gave you this formula sheet. You were to study it and try to memorize as much as you could. Now, point-slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Now, they want you to take this point and this slope and put it in this formula. That's all they're asking. Write an equation in point-slope form given the slope and the point. So our slope is a negative 4/3. Now there's a negative there, so as we look at this negative 9, and there's a negative there, this becomes a plus 9 on this side. And here we have y, and there's a negative there as well. But as we look at the y, value is 6, so this is just going to be negative 6. So this is the answer they were looking for. Now, this person put the answer in slope-intercept form. That's not what they were asking. They had the right slope, and what I did, if you can see it, no, it's down below, I gave them half credit. Because they had the slope right, they just didn't know this formula. So again, this is what they're looking for, and you do this through working on your pi and developing mastery of these topics. It takes study and practice. Now, this was the first question on many tests where you had an equation that was in this form, and they actually wrote it. They say y equals mx. Now, remember, if there is no b value here, then our y-intercept is 0, and the equation was y equals 3x. So again, the b value is 0, and what is the y-intercept? Well, it's going to go right through the origin here. And we said a shortcut way to graph this was go over 1 and then up 3. And it would give you this point here. So by putting in these 2 points, this was just another point, it would give you the line. Now, many of you somehow confuse this with y equals 3. Y equals 3 is a horizontal line going through 3. That's not what this was. Okay, another very common error that I found. Okay, you had a couple like this on your test, and they say a line passes through a negative 8, comma, negative 1, and has a slope of 5/4. And they're looking for the equation of that line in slope-intercept form. So, 2 ways to do it. You could use the point-slope form, or that other modified form. We can go y equals mx plus b, and the more times you write this, the better off you're going to be. Now our y is a negative 1. Our m we know is 5/4. Our x is a negative 8. What we don't know is our b value out here. So we're using this shortcut way to find b. Well, 4 goes into there once. 4 goes into there twice. So this is a negative 1 equals 10. 5 times 2, a negative 10 plus b. Now I transpose this negative 10 over. On this side it becomes a positive 10. And a negative 1 gives me a 9. So b equals 9. So now I can rewrite this equation, y equals, I know my slope, 5/4 x. Some of you have forgotten to put that x there, plus 9. And that's what the correct answer is. So this person, I'm not sure where they got their b value here, but this is the answer. Now I did give them half credit because they had the proper slope. Oh, did they? Wait a minute. Oh, that's my answer. No, they didn't have the proper slope here. So, unfortunately, I thought they had it here. Oh, I flipped that over in my mind. All right, I'll have to adjust that here shortly. All right, here's another where they had put the answer in sort of a point-slope form, but that's not what that is. They gave you these 2 points on a graph. You had to either identify them with their coordinates, and we're going to need at least 1 point. So let's do this one here. This one looks like a 3, 6 here. 3, 6. So going there, that's a 3, and that's a 6. All right, so that's an ordered pair. And then we have to figure the slope. So we're going over and counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our run is 6. And our rise, we're going up 3, 9. All right, see, this person will now get some partial credit because they had the slope. Wasn't in its simplified form, but it's not too bad. So our slope now is 3 halves. Our y value is 6. Our x value is 3. And we don't know what our b is. Again, you could use point slope here, but point slope is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So since both of these are positive, I don't have the right values there. Anyway, this is the other way, and I think the shortcut way to do it. So we're going to multiply everything by 2 to get rid of this fraction here. So 2, 2, 2. Here the 2's cancel out. So I get 12 equals 9 plus 2b. Transpose the 9 to the other side becomes a negative 9. So we get 3. And b now is 2b. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So my b is 3 halves. Teacher makes it look so easy. So our correct formula then would be the slope, which we say is 3 halves once we simplify it. And our y-intercept is 3 halves. So if you look at that, it's going right through between 1 and 2 at 3 halves. Okay. And we'll do one more for good measure. Here they say a line passes through this point and has this slope. Write it in point slope form. So again, y minus y sub 1 equals m, x minus x sub 1. Now you might say, how many times do I need to write that in order for it to go into long-term memory? It's one of the key formulas in this chapter, which we gave in that initial formula sheet. So our slope is 3 halves. Now it's a negative, and our x value is a negative 4, so this becomes a positive 4. The opposite of a negative is this. And then we have our x value is 8, so this is going to be y minus 8, and then that's our answer. And I can see what happened here. This person had their x's and y's mixed up in the formula, but they had the right slope, sort of the right idea. I'm going to give them half credit for this. That's how it works. Okay. Well, we did one like this already, but I want to just show this other one that I've seen on a couple of papers, where this is in standard form, and they ask you to write the x and y intercepts, and maybe even perhaps to graph it. So what we would do if it's in standard form, I said, make that X and Y intercept t-chart. So if X were 0 here, we then get 3 times 0 is 0, 5y equals 15, divide both sides by 5, y is 3. And if y is 0 here, 5 times 0 is 0, divide both sides by 3, and x is 5. So what would your y-intercept be? Well, again, if you were to graph this, getting a phone call here, telemarketing are into our phone, so we have that. All right, so 0, 3, 1, 2, 3, a dot there. And our y-intercept is 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A dot there. Now, I notice that some of you put it down as an ordered pair. This is 0, 3. And this one is 5, 0. But they only wanted it as the b value was 3, and that would be your x-intercept is, your y-intercept is 3, and your x-intercept is 5. But again, if I see this, I would give you full credit. All right, now that'll wrap us up here.